Hi, my name is Sumaya Juma, the founder of the Shield Maidens, where we train on digital safety and security practices to young women, girls, and persons with disabilities as we advocate against technology facilitated gender based violence. One of the most effective ways to improve support for survivors is to move beyond reactive responses and adopt a safety by design approach. Often, digital platforms and services are designed first and safety is added later after harm has already occurred. We've seen that safety by design flips this approach by embedding safety, accessibility, privacy, and user well being into technologies from the very beginning. Um, this means that we need to design platforms with clear and accessible reporting mechanisms, literally have proactive detection of harmful behavior, have stronger privacy controls. We also need to have easy to use blocking and muting features on the different platforms, and also have rapid pathways to support when abuse occurs. And it could also mean that we need to conduct risk assessments before products are launched. This will help us to understand how women, girls, and persons with disabilities and other vulnerable groups how they may experience harm differently online. For survivors, safety by design literally means that they should not have to become experts on the platform policies like collecting extensive evidence or probably navigating multiple systems to get help. Instead, platforms, institutions, and support services should work together to reduce friction, preserve evidence where appropriate, and also provide timely interventions and connect survivors to relevant support services. Um, we understand that safety by design cannot be a one size fits all. We've tried this while creating some of the toolkits that were tailored to persons with disabilities, but we also understand that technology companies can implement common safety standards, have local organizations and communities play a critical role when it comes to ensuring responses are culturally relevant and accessible and also trusted. I'd give an example, let's say in Kenya. This would include providing support in local languages, ensuring accessibility for persons with disabilities, and also integrating digital safety into existing GBV response mechanisms and strengthening community based support networks. A survivor centered support system is one that literally anticipates harm before it happens and minimizes the burden on survivors when it does occur and ensures that safety is built into both the technology and the ecosystem that is surrounding it. We have different mechanisms to respond to cyber related harms. Some of the survivors can report incidents through the National Computer and Cyber Crimes Coordination Committee, also known as the NC4. We also have the cybercrime units within the law enforcement, and we also have gender desks at police stations and legal aid providers and various civil society organizations which are working on gender justice and digital rights. I think the biggest challenge is not necessarily the absence of support. It is that many survivors either do not know where to find it or do not trust it or face barriers when trying to access it. Survivors often report concerns about victim blaming, lack of understanding of digital harms, slow response times, and uncertainty about what action will be taken. Many survivors first disclose their experiences to friends, either family members, colleagues, teachers, mentors, or community organizations, before approaching the formal institutions. While these informal support networks are often carrying a significant part of the response, even though they are rarely recognized or resourced to do so. And it's literally even harder for persons with disability because they have additional barriers, I think the question we must ask ourselves is, are reporting systems accessible to people using assistive technologies? Are digital safety resources available in accessible formats? I think once we have the answers to these questions, they are very central to whether support is truly available and also in practice. One of the biggest failures is that online harms are still often treated as less serious than offline violence, despite having real world impacts on safety, mental health, livelihoods, education, and even participation in public life. Often the victims or survivors end up silencing themselves, yeah? So there are also significant gaps in awareness, accessibility, coordination, and accountability. Survivors frequently encounter systems that require them to move between multiple institutions and also repeatedly recount their experiences and navigate processes that were not designed with trauma in mind. Let's say for marginalized communities, this includes women, girls, and persons with disability, journalists, activists, and other public-facing individuals. These barriers can even be much, much greater. I think for us to create a truly survivor centered system, we need to have trauma informed approaches that prioritize safety, dignity, informed consent, and survivor choices. We also need better coordination between institutions and greater accountability from technology platforms. We also need to stop designing systems around organizational processes and start designing them around the lived realities of survivors. At the Shield Maidens, our community centered approach means equipping communities with the knowledge, tools, and confidence for them to both prevent and respond to online harms. This includes raising awareness about TFGBV, training them on digital safety and security practices, training them on privacy protection, cyber hygiene, online consent, and what safe use of technology, digital platforms looks like. Yeah. So we help individuals recognize online harms, understand their rights, and know where and how to seek support. One of the key part of our work is ensuring that digital safety is accessible to everyone, including women, girls, public-facing women, and persons with disability who often, literally often face unique and intersecting risks online. We have seen that when communities understand issues such as cyber stalking, non consensual sharing of intimate images, online harassment, impersonation, and the other forms of TFGBV, they are better equipped to identify early warning signs and also support survivors effectively and challenge harmful behaviors before they escalate. So community is also very critical because TFGBV often seeks to isolate survivors and silence their participation online. So, having a strong community network helps counter that isolation by providing validation, practical support, and trusted pathways to formal services when needed. I think community centered solutions do not replace the formal systems, such as law enforcement platforms or legal services. We simply strengthen the ecosystem around survivors by ensuring that the support and awareness and digital safety knowledge already exists where people live, learn, work, and interact every day. I think I'll still go back to safety by design because one of the core principles of safety by design is to take responsibility. And for too long, the burden of managing online abuse has been placed on the survivors, where you're expected to either collect evidence, navigate complex reporting systems, and also understand platforms. Um, platform policies and repeatedly explain your experience as a survivor to different institutions while dealing with trauma and fear. Using the take responsibility approach of safety by design challenges this by asking institutions and platforms and service providers to take greater responsibility for preventing harm and responding effectively when it occurs. Survivors should not have to become investigators in order for them to access support. This means that platforms should have clear and accessible reporting mechanisms, preserve evidence when abuse is reported, and also proactively investigate harmful behavior and provide timely responses. I think one of the challenges is also having key response when you report your cases. And also law enforcement support services and technology companies should ensure that information can be shared safely and appropriately with the survivors' consent. So we need to shift the burden away from survivors, which requires cultural and institutional shift. The question should not be what more can the survivor do to prove what happened, but rather what more can our systems do to respond effectively, compassionately, and also accountably when harm is reported. Do not go through it alone. That's just literally what I will say. If it is safe to do so, preserve the evidence before deleting anything. Take screenshots, save links, record usernames, and just document literally what happened. Then reach out to someone you trust, either a friend, family member, or some of the support services that are available within your area. As I know, many survivors often feel the pressure to, immediately solve the problem themselves. But for TFGBV is not something that anyone should have to navigate alone. Just seek support as the first step toward regaining your control, and also access some of the resources that are within your reach, and also protect your well being, protect your mental health.